Hi, Kevin Johnson of Atkins. I'm one of the two designers responsible for the water park. And today we've here on site, so much has happened over the 1 year of our design and the 2 years of this construction. And we're so close to the completion at the moment.
Hi, I'm Kate Lockey. I'm a designer with Atkins. As Kevin said, we're standing here at the souk. The design of the souk is based on all heritage Emirati architecture, and it represents the part of the story after the pearl has been found. So it's prospering as a good trading port. So here we are on the wharf side, and you can see in the background we've got several beautiful old dhows which we've managed to secure, form part of the theming.
One of the things that we were really keen on doing was reusing as much true Emirati heritage as possible. And the 4 dhows that we have here in the wharf side are actually original dhows which we salvaged from a boat builder on the beach locally here in Abu Dhabi. And we've had them all fully restored. All the teak planks have been beautifully restored. And then we've refloated them in the lagoon. So we're actually really quite proud of salvaging something that was original and bringing it back to life again.
So we're standing on the edge of the wharf, and we've got the wharf side trading units that you can see behind me. This is where the dhows would have traditionally come in and offloaded all their sacks of grain and boxes of tea from far off places. And over the next few days we're going to be having a lot of all our barrels and crates and sacks coming in, and everything that will make this wharf side realistic, as if it was a real trading place.
So we thought very deep about what sort of artefacts we'll be placing here, other than the obvious trading goods, the barrels, the boxes and the sacks of grain as well.
We're in the inside of the souk now. This is where Dana was born and brought up, and where she lived as a young girl up until when the pearl was discovered. Back then, the Pearl Village only really traded with pearls, which of course throughout, as you know from the story, the bandits would rob the pearl villagers, and so the village was very poor.
When the guests come through the main entrance doors, they'll be greeted by this large souk area. There are 7 trading shops around here, and they're all trading the riches of a souk. There's spices, there's carpets, there's even Arabic coffee. The centrepiece is really this little fountain, which is very much a meeting space, a gathering space for all of the guests to wait around whilst their children or their friends are actually getting changed. They'll all then group together and head off that way into the second side of the souk, to the other side of the souk, heading out towards the water park.
So, yeah, Bubbles was the first character that Dana went to visit to ask his advice on where he thought that the pearl might be, because pearls generally are taken from the sea. She thought that might be a good place to start. And here we have the Bubbles Zone. Represented here in Bubbles Zone is the flow rider called Rush Rider, and also we have the flow barrel 10, which is a huge stationary wave creating fantastic surfing ability.
We even have a retail shop in this in the bubble zone, and you can buy a myriad of things in there, including your own surfboard for the professional surfers amongst us. Okay, we're up on top of the Falcons Nest platform, and it's one of the very good vantage points to oversee some of the park. One of the things that we really focused on early on in the design was creating the pearl and Pearl Crag as very much the centrepiece of the park, and then building all of the ride platforms and the ride queue lines around it.
So we've made it up to the Falcons Nest, and here we are standing inside one of the huge mammoth rides that comes off from this platform. This is Falcons Collage. The design of both the rides up here are representative of the flight of the Falcon. So there's lots of twists and turns and drops and swoops and spins, and it represents his search across the desert land to help Dana and her friends find the pearl. On the other side of the platform there's also Liwa Loop, which is the flight of the fledgling, and that equally represents the first flight of the falcon's baby bird as he drops from the nest and does a quick loop before landing down safely on the ground. So we're standing by the serpent rides. This is representative of Slither the serpent. His role in the story is he acts as a spy between the bandits and Dana and her friends as they go on their quest to find the pearl. So he eavesdrops on what the Dana and the friends are discussing to do with the story, and then relates back to the bandits what he is hearing. And the more and more information that he gathers, the more and more excited the bandits become. And they get closer and closer to Dana in their pursuit of trying to beat her to finding this giant pearl. Each of the rides that we have in this area are all representative of the way a snake would move through the landscape. So they twist and they turn, they slide. Lots of different variations of ride take place here. So there's lots of drops, circular bowl movements, and also there's the oscillating one, which is held within this new first ride. This ride that we have behind me is the first in the world. We had it designed specifically for this park. It's called a rattler, and it's a very exciting dark ride. From the point at which you launch into the ride, you are going to a series of sideward movements and then a long drop which brings you into a large cavernous space in which you then oscillate backwards and forwards before exiting into another series of loops. There are 3 of these large cavernous areas that you ride through, which makes it a truly exciting ride. So we're now in the Bandit Port. This is the home to Chubby and Skinny. They are lovable rogue bandits who spend most of their time trying to find ways of making themselves appear more wealthy by stealing and pillaging and things like that. But they are lovable people. This is their home, the fort.
Typically, all of the trains are 4-man carriages, 2 front, 2 rear. Let's just have a quick look at one over the back here. Not only is the rider going to get a stunning experience going around the roller coaster track when they're actually on the ride, but they've also got some added fun and games to have. There are 2 water bombing zones where they can, using this red button, deploy their water, which is held in these tanks at the front here. Underneath them will be guests waiting in queue lines or generally wandering around the park. And they're going to be a little bit surprised when they get 40 litres of water from each of the 10 litres from each of the 4 seats dropped on their head. On the top of the large plant room, by the back of the wave pool, there are targets which are set at different locations. And each rider has their own laser gun here, activated by the button underneath. And they will be firing at the various targets with their laser guns. Those targets, when hit, set up a series of water fountains, water geysers, and large columns of water that come from very, very surprising places, so that those people downstairs, either in the queue line or waiting for the ride, are going to get soaked without even knowing where the water's coming from. And it's these guys on the ride that are actually setting off massive amounts of animation around the park. Here we have the 2 large water tanks which are automatically filled. This entire system was specifically created by Vekoma, who are masters at roller coasters anyway, but they had to adapt all of their technology and water engineering to accommodate the demands of this particular ride. And we really look forward to having a go on this ourselves. When the guests exit on the train, they'll be taken up the first lift, which is over here, and then hurled towards the crag, which you see in the distance. From there, they dart round into the cave. They are diving under bridges, over rivers, and the pedestrians underneath have a spectacular view of what's happening overhead.
The story to the park is about the interpretation of wealth. To the bandits, to Chubby and to Skinny, wealth is seen as material objects. It has to be a tangible item. They've been stealing from the pearl divers in the village for all these years, so that they have this wealth of pearls that they can look at and handle and hold, and to them that is wealth. So when they hear about Dana and her journey to go and find the lost pearl, they become very excited. And then when you have Slither, who's acting as a spy, going between Dana and her friends and back to the bandits, and then there's talk of emeralds and gold and sapphires, the bandits are getting very, very excited because this is what they're after. This is wealth. But of course, wealth is measured in many different ways, and to the children and the young, they don't see gems as wealth. They just interpret them as colours, as stones which have glistening and they're exciting. So Dana and her friends realised that the colours of the gems are representative of other elements, and of course the gold is representative of the sands of the desert, the sapphires are representative of the clear waters of the Arabian Gulf, and the emeralds are representative of the lush green oasis that are representative of this region. And actually, wealth is represented in the natural beauty of our surroundings.
One of the really great things in this park is that after Dana had found the pearl and wealth had been restored to the village celebrated by giving the children 3 play areas. Not is it just one large play area, but over here we have a small area for children 0 to 3 years old. Very gentle slides, very gentle bubble jets. Great fun to play with mum and dad and your youngsters. Where I'm standing now, we have an area for 3 to 5-year-olds. It's a little bit more exciting. There's water flumes, but there's lots of water animation as well, with wheels to turn, and there's water jets constantly cascading and keeping this area wet. All of it's under shade because we need to make sure that people are protected from the sun here. And over on the far side is a giant rain fortress. You will have seen them in other water parks, but not as big or as spectacular as this one.